Okay, so thus far we've made a computer program that does a couple of neat things, like for example, it takes a message and outputs that message to the screen. It takes a couple of numbers and calculates the sum of those numbers and outputs that to the screen. But there's one thing that stands out about our program is that it's not at all interactive. In other words, whatever text is out there is typed in by the programmer, which is you and I, and whatever numbers are there are also typed in by us. How nice if this program could be a little more interactive, in the sense that the user will be allowed to type in whatever text he or she wants displayed in the text box. So now we're going to make a program that is in fact interactive. Let's create a new Java program. New Java. Alright, we'll call this one Hello Plus. Alright, so what you can do is you can copy most of the code from your previous program and paste it, and anything between the open and close braces of the main method we can delete for the time being. Alright, and of course we need to remember to change the name of the program. While we're at it, might as well save it. You can see that JGrasp has chosen the right name. We leave the name as is and save. Now we're going to create a different type of dialog box. Previously we had a message dialog box which simply output a message. This time we're going to use a new type of dialog box which is known as an input dialog box. Now before we do that, we're going to create a variable. We'll call it first name. And now we're going to create our dialog box. Now this may seem a bit confusing. Show input dialog. I'll explain to you exactly what's going on. Alright, now what's going on here is that we are creating a variable, but we know that when you do a thing like this, you're storing something inside the variable. What's on the right hand side of the equals to sign will be stored into the variable. So now how can we store all of this? This looks like a method call jOptionPane.showInputDialog. Are we seriously taking a dialog box and storing it into a variable? The answer is no, we are not storing that. We're not storing the actual dialog box. What we are storing is what the user types into the dialog box. So basically this method is going to run. The user is going to type something into the box, his name, for example Tim, and when this method is called, the only thing that will be returned is the name Tim, and Tim is what's going to be stored inside first name. Now let's see if that works. So now we're going to show a message dialog box. And we'll output first name. Alright, let's compile this. Hopefully it'll compile without any errors. Great, no errors. Let's run it. Okay, so this is what an input dialog looks like. It's got an input box where we can type something in. Alright, I've typed in the name Tim. I click on OK. What's going to happen is Tim is going to be displayed in my message dialog box. Let's look at that again, and this time we'll look at the code as we are interacting with the program. Alright, so now when we're looking at the input dialog box, the first line, this part of the line displays the input dialog box. You can see that the text there is what's reflected in the input dialog box, and then we get an input box. When the user types his name in there and clicks on OK, the name is what is sent to the variable to be stored. Alright, and that name term is stored in the variable, and then that variable is output in the show message dialog box. And there we have it. The output of this message is exactly what the user had typed in previously. Now the next thing is, how do we add something to this? Let's say we wanted the user to put in his name or her name, and then we put a little message rather than just output the name of the user. Now we can use a similar method that we saw earlier on, string concatenation. We can concatenate two strings using the plus sign. So we put in the string hello. Now you can see I left a space in between there. Remember, a space within double quotes is meaningful. Java will actually leave the space, but the space that is out of the double quotes will be totally ignored. So this would output hello and the person's first name. Let's compile that. And run it. Alright, I put in the name Sam, and there's the output. Hello Sam.